Okay, so my name is Vanessa Hart, and I'm just going to be talking briefly about Brickhills Consulting, our objectives, what we do, and introducing the speakers for tonight as well. Um, so, yeah, please, can we like unmute, can we mute our mics so it doesn't interrupt, you know, the conversation? So, yeah. So today, I welcome everyone to today's webinar on redefining success in a dynamic world. My name is Ezine Hart Vanessa, and I'm thrilled to be your host for today's exciting session, brought to you by Brickhills Consulting. So Brickhills, we are committed to empowering individuals and organizations by offering British-accredited flexible training programs across various fields like project management, business analysis, digital transformation, and so on and so forth. Whether you prefer learning online, virtual learning, or learning in person, we're here to support your growth and development at your own pace. So pretty much we offer three modes of learning, whether it's the learning with the video on your own pace or the virtual learning or in-person learning as well. So these are three flexible modes of learning, and we are currently having some discounted offers for some of our courses that would also enable everyone keying. So I'm so excited to introduce I have two incredible speakers today. I have Dr. McDaniels and I have Dr. Solomon. I have Miss Engineer Solomon. Dr. McDaniels would be taking us because he's an expert, he's a project manager, he's a business analyst, and and so on and so forth. I'm going to be giving you more insight about Dr. Daniels when it's his turn to speak. I think Dr. Solomon will be speaking first. So, so I'll start by introducing Dr. Solomon. Dr. Solomon Uhuka possesses a degree in marine engineering from Southampton University, United Kingdom, and yeah, he has a degree in engineering from the University of Lincoln, UK, with over a decade of offshore experience. He transitioned into a management role, excelling as a leader, business analyst, scrum master, and head of transformation and service delivery. He has adaptively spearheaded numerous digital transformation initiatives, led complex change management processes, executed comprehensive data migration strategies, and implemented robust EPR systems across a wide array of sectors, including energy, government, higher education, tax and technology and law. So I'll be handing over to Engineer Solomon now to take the floor as he's going to be taking us on change management and he's going to be expatiating on that. Thank you so much, Dr. Solomon. I'm Engineer Solomon. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for that awesome introduction. It's good to be here. So I'll be taking you all on change management. Just bear me a second to share my screen. It's for this retail ops communications team. There's two going there, and then one that's going next to Molly. So changing that. Yeah. Okay. You know on that bank where Molly sits, they're not on that. They're on Wi-Fi. It's network. And they were there once Molly and someone went up there. She's like fine. But it's only as and when I was on Wi-Fi. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is good, but okay. Confirm you can all see my screen, okay?
Why is that screen there? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me, Izine. I'll be speaking on change as an opportunity, rethinking strategies for a new era. So
Uh, when it comes to mind, what
Yes.
do we understand by change, and why do we think change matters in an organization? So I'll go to the next slide. It says, for me, I would say change matters because it drives growth, it fosters innovation, it helps it helps organizations adapt to new challenges and opportunities. And the objective for this webinar is to ensure that we grasp the the basics of change management, explore practical strategies to embrace change, and also encourage a dialogue, and also share insights on how we can implement change across organizations. So I don't know if we can have the chats enabled. Let's hear from our participants what change means to them, if that is okay, or do people want to speak so we can hear various opinions around what change means to you? I know some people might say change is most of us that grew up back in Nigeria, Owomida, where's my change? You can say that as change, or you can say, oh, the government, what change did they bring? That's an example of change. So I would like to hear from people on the call what change means to you. Okay, so maybe I'll call names. I have Obina Duru on the call. Do you want to share with us what change means to you?
Well, to me, change is it's a like constant activity that occurs in everybody's daily life. It's like a behavior. Change is what goes around you, what defines, your process of living, and your ambition of existence. Change is what defines your process of ambition. People grow when it comes to technology, comes to health, comes to education, because knowledge goes to change because it keeps changing, it keeps growing. So growth is change, and then the growth is change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obina. Esther, can you give us your own point of view on what change is, if you don't mind?
Okay, hi. Good evening, everyone. I'd say, uh, just like we always hear, change is constant and it's part of life. And while change can be a bit challenging, for me, it means growth and the process of moving from where you are to where you need to be.
Thank you very much. Those are both brilliant answers to what change is. And leaning on that, then what is change management? So my own definition of change management is a process of guiding individuals, teams, and organizations through process of transitions from your current state to the future state. So within organizations would have what we would call an assist process. So this is where we currently are operating in to where we need to be. That will be our future process. And why do we need to focus on change management? Because it helps to align people, it helps us align processes and also outcomes. And we know that there are various types of change within organizations and in our personal lives. So we have incremental change. This is like a small gradual adjustment. For example, you have in organizations when you want to improve a process. So you hear people talk about, lean management. So where you have a complex process where, for example, your HR onboarding, it has to go through various approvals where you can just, various approval emails, when it can just be a system of just click and approve. So those are sort of incremental change you can implement in an organization. When you also have transformational change. So these are major shifts. So for example, you can have organizations that are moving from old legacy systems into more digital platforms. So this involves a large piece of work that needs to be done. Then for personal versus organizational change, we know for individual habits, we have some persons who might decide that, okay, we want to more or less start eating vegan, start those kind of change. I want to start eating healthy. What comes with making such decisions. We also have organization change. So when you talk about organizational change, you would hear organizations saying, "Oh, we would love to reorg. So we want to change our line of reporting. We want to move some directors around." So these are the kind of change we can anticipate in organizations. And what happens when there is a change? We always know about the human side of change, the human factors. What comes to mind when you hear change is going to happen in your organization? First thing that happens is a resistance. So because people are always resistant to change, and I'll go to the next slide. So you find that people are resistant to change. Why are they resistant to change? You hear that there's this fear of unknown. There is a feel of a loss of control. People have become so comfortable with the status quo, and they perceive a negative impact. So how does this all come together? You see, if you are working in an organization where you have people who tend to own certain processes, say for example, an Excel spreadsheet that is being updated by just one person, he feels he's the champion for that process. And when a new change is coming to sort of change the way you operate, rather than using Excel, have a system where everyone can have access to. So a person like that will feel he doesn't have control over that process, and you'd hear people saying, "I might lose my job, or I might be placed, I might be kicked out of the company because this is what I think I bring to the organization." And you now have people who have been working in that organization for so long, and they are so used to the status quo, wouldn't want to change the way they are working, and you hear them saying, "Oh, this is the way we do things here. This is how it has been. If it's not broken, don't change it." So this is why people resist. This is why people resist change. The next step we'll see is when there is a change, you understand that there is emotional responses to change. You would have anxiety, you'd have confusion, you would have excitement. Some people are just curious to find out what would this change bring. You get people who start saying, would this mean redundancy in the business? Would it mean I have to start learning something that is new? Does it mean I'll start adapting? And some people might be excited as well. So, when you're implementing change, we always look at the change curve. And when you look at the change curve, is measured the morale against time. For example, when a change is implemented, firstly, people would experience shock, and some people would be in denial, saying, "Oh, I don't think this change is going to go through." Then there will be some element of frustration. There will be some element of depression when people feel like this is not going anywhere. Then you now get adoption where people start experimenting on this new process, they make that decision to adopt the process and then integrate that process into their daily lives. And you see, that's when you can see everyone has adopted that change. Then, as we're talking about change, we always know that most times we are liable to fail when you're trying to implement change in an organization. So we would ask ourselves, why would change fail, even if we were implementing a system that is going to make the lives of the people better, make things better? Why does the efforts fail? So one of the reasons why change would fail would be lack of communication. So I'll give an example. I believe, apologies to people who are not Nigerians on this call. So we had our president come on his day of inauguration and said fuel subsidy is removed. So you see that communication spiraled, and from then on, you saw an increase in prices of goods and services across the country. So this is because the mode of communication was not, I would say, was not thought through. You need to sensitize people before you make certain changes. Then the next step is poor leadership and planning. So there's a way you implement change to show that this was not properly thought through. The leadership of the company or the team did not engage all the stakeholders. And another part is also for the people is ignoring the resistance. So I'll give a life example where I have experienced people who have sort of ignored resistance. So, for example, you are supposed to implement a software for an organization, and you start hearing side talks about, oh, this software would not work. This software makes the process harder. And instead of addressing those resistance, you more or less enabled and didn't do anything about it. When you implement your change, those resistance will become champions for not letting your process go through. So what we should do is try not to ignore resistance, bring everyone on board, carry everyone along the journey for change. Then also what is very, very important is don't see change as a problem. See it as an opportunity. And with opportunity, there's always chances for us to grow. So if you look change as an opportunity, you will look at it as a system of driving innovation. You are going to learn new skills. You are also going to adapt to a fast-paced world. In companies today, now everyone is talking about embedding AI in processes. So you have people who have embedded AI in their meetings. So, for example, as we're having this meeting, AI will be able to pick out the action points. So you wouldn't need to more or less document any of the items that was discussed here today. AI would be able to pick up these comments and give you a chart and of action items and how you can implement what has been discussed in various meetings. So we should understand that the world is moving very, very fast and we need to adapt because you might be stuck in an organization thinking you're doing you're just working the way you are, and when you go out there you discover that other organizations have moved faster than you. The next thing is also to understand the principles of change management. Like I mentioned earlier, communication is very key. We ensure you communicate these changes early and often. You need to involve all stakeholders from your C-suites to your foot soldiers to ensure everyone is carried along this journey of change, and also be very flexible and open to feedback. This is very, very important. You see people who do not want to receive feedback, be it good or bad feedback, they are very, very resistant to change and you will be stuck in your own ways. Then when you're implementing change models, there are various change models available in the business today, but my favorite is the ADKAR model. So the ADKAR model has this acronym for awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. So this was developed by Prosky, which is a leading change management organization, where A stands for awareness. This is understanding the need for change. We have the desire, which is having the motivation to support and participate in change. We have knowledge, which is knowing how to change. We have ability, which is having the skills and behaviors to implement change. And we also have reinforcement, ensuring the change is sustained over time. And if you follow these steps, you will see that you are able to implement change effectively and make sure that the change sticks. Then we'll ask, what's the role of leadership in change management? You can see everything still boils down to your leadership team, who's driving this change. For your leadership team, what they need to do or what you need to do as leaders is to foster trust and promote transparency. You can't one of my mentors usually say, the only way you can be transparent is to ensure when you give out information, you are giving the same information to X amount of people. Say, for example, I had a commercial manager while I was working at NLNG. So you would have people, when you hear, oh, this guy is a commercial manager, everyone wants to lift cargo out of the ships, and you start hearing even family members, everyone wants to come and lift cargo so they can sell and make money for themselves. But if you start giving different processes on how you can lift cargo, you start getting conflicting. People say, oh, I didn't get this cargo because of some process. But if you are transparent, you are able to have that process across board. The next step is to act as a change model. What does this mean? You need to be a role model. You need to be a change champion. And once you are acting as a change model, everyone will follow you as the leader. Then when we're implementing change, we also have what we call the vision. You need to communicate your change vision to your organization, ensuring that everyone is brought on board and carried along the journey for change. We'll breeze through quickly. Then we have tools for managing change. So we have stakeholder mapping. When you talk about stakeholder mapping, we have various types of methodologies you can use to map your stakeholders. For example, you can RACI your stakeholders, where you have who's going to be responsible, who's going to be accountable, who's going to carry out the change, and who's going to implement this change. Or you also have your power and influence map, where you can say who would have so much power to influence this change, or who needs to be informed in this change. You also have the readiness assessment, where we need to plan if the business is ready to take on board that change. And we also have the regular feedback loop. So this is ensuring that we are having retrospective to ensure that we are acting on the feedback that we receive throughout our change process. Also, we have what strategies can you embrace or what strategies can you implement for embracing change? My personal best is to stay positive. Also focus on controllable factors. So these are things you have control over. You shouldn't focus on things you do not have control over. Then also build resilience. This is quite important because as you cannot control these factors, you just need to adapt yourself to any change that is coming and look at the positives of this change. Then for technology that we can use, I don't know our experience on this call, but we have various softwares available in the market today that you can use for change management. So we have the likes of Jira, we have the likes of Trello, we have the likes of Monday.com. You can use these tools to practice change management, and also you need to embrace digital transformation. So if you look at organizations today, you will find out, I'll give an example of a company here in the UK called Debenhams. You find out that they transitioned their business from having just an online, a physical store to an online store. So this is understanding the landscape has changed. So what do we do as a business? Do we still stay the way we behave? You have people no longer own taxi companies, no longer own taxis. Rental companies don't no longer own homes, because they are able to have a digital platform where people who own homes can subscribe. And I'm talking about the likes of Uber, the likes of EasyJet, and the likes. So we should be able to adapt as well to technological shifts in the business. When you look at what the business is doing, you are able to now transition yourself and place your business in that change and ensure you can be part of that market share. Also, how can we overcome resistance? So we have 3 steps, which is to prepare, to lead, and involve. So for preparation, you need to explain why this change is important. You need to create a dissatisfaction with the status quo. These are people who are so used to the old ways of working. I was in an organization where a major transformation was going on, and what they did for people who have been in the business for 15 plus years, they were offered compulsory retirement, because they found out that it would be difficult to change the way they think. It's rather bringing new people, get these older, we call them dinosaurs then, to leave the organization and bring in fresh brains who would adopt this change. Also reduce uncertainty. Then to lead, you need to provide an inspiring vision. You need to set milestones. You need to energize communications. Don't underestimate the use of your company circulars, broadcast messages to ensure everyone is brought on board on this change. Then also you need to empower leaders. So what strategy we usually do is to ensure, like, the foot soldiers in the company, we make them change champions. We also reward adopters and we celebrate victories. So bi-weekly we're able to put out a circular to praise people who are acted very well as change champions, and that will also promote other people to adopt change. Then the next step is, how do we sustain change? So, you can implement change, and at the end of the day, people will slip back to their old ways. So how do we sustain change? We need to embed these new habits daily. We also need to encourage continuous improvement. We also need to monitor our progress regularly. And when you follow these steps, you will be able to sustain a change that has happened in your organization. And in the market today, you have various jobs that are spinning up. You have people who are being hired as continuous improvement managers. So they just come on board to ensure that a change that has been done sticks and ensures it is embedded in your BAU processes, and they help you to monitor. So if you are adopting change, or if you're thinking about transitioning into a change manager, there are many opportunities in the market because everyone is trying to implement new softwares, trying to implement AI, trying to implement nanotechnology in processes, and you can now be a change champion in these organizations. You do not even need to know any technical skills or have any capabilities within technicality, or like writing code. You just need to be able to come up with a change plan and stick with it with that organization, and you can find yourself in a rewarding career. Next, we have the future of change management. So we talk about agile methods. I will not go deep into agile because we will go into Spiral, but this is where we plan, design, develop, test, release, and feedback. So as you can see, this is a loop. We always go through this loop, always go through it. And what we understand by agile is we should be able to respond to change. Then AI in change process, you cannot overlook what's happening in the AI world. Everyone is embedding AI in all their processes, so we should be able to key into that as well. Then we have the hybrid work challenges and opportunities. Nowadays, everyone is, since COVID, the world is now embracing hybrid work from home and the like. This is because some companies are struggling to recruit people who wouldn't want to come to the office 5 days a week. So these are all places where you can key into, become change managers, become change champions, and you can find yourself in a rewarding career. Finally, we know, like the lady who spoke earlier, she's mentioned change is constant, and that has been drumming in our ears right from, I believe, right from my secondary school days. When you're doing if you're in science class, you're doing physics, okay, change is constant. You're a mathematician, change is constant. C for constant. And you have effective change management is always essential for navigating and transitioning into any business successfully. And change is not just a challenge, it's also an opportunity for growth, innovation, and also leaving a lasting impact. So I will wrap up from here, and I'll be happy to take any questions. I would accept this is quite a quick session, but if you want to expand more, we can always plan further calls and see how that goes. So the next step is for our question and answer, but this will come at the end of this presentation so that the next person can present, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. I'm staying back late at the office today, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you very much for having me. Over to you, Izine.
Oh, thank you so much, Solomon, for that thought-provoking presentation. Actually, we'll just take a few questions from you.
Okay, that's fine. That's
you
fine.
know,
That's fine.
to Daniel. So please feel free to ask your questions, unmute yourself, and ask questions directly to to Engineer Solomon. He's here to answer you. Do you have any questions for Engineer Solomon on change management?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. My question goes like this: how can leaders build trust with employees, their citizens during times of significant change?
So, thank you for that brilliant question. It's very, very important. That's why you see part of the KPIs for most organizations is trust. How do you then build that trust among your is by communicating early. Like I had mentioned earlier, if you communicate, if you're open, if you're open to your staff, tell them what is coming. Like when I'll go back to the example about the organization where they were implementing change and they wanted to let go of people who have been in the business for 15 years or more. So you have a town hall, you explain to them what is coming. So eliminate, because in organizations you would always get rumors. Eliminate those rumors, let people know this change is coming, this is the effect, this is what's going to happen. uh do not be like organizations who would come in just in the morning to say, oh, we're going to be laying off a couple of staff because of a reorg that is happening. So organizations should always ensure that they are open, keep your staff in the loop of a change that is happening. And to be honest, if organizations now take on board the feedback, say for example, you go to like Glassdoors, you'll be able to see reviews of organizations where people come in to say, oh, this organization did not effect this change properly, and you find out that it affects their business because no one will want to work for such organizations. So organizations now look at these KPIs to ensure that everyone is kept abreast of any new change that is happening in the business. So it's just by communicating early and also ensuring openness among everyone in the business to remove any doubts or rumors that will be flying around. Because once change is coming, you have people saying, are we going to lose our jobs? Are they going to slash salaries or are they going to replace us with AI? You need to clear those doubts amongst everyone. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Um, good people. So thank you, Sir Solomon, for the speech. It was amazing. It was well explained. Now, change, yes, I know change is constant, change has to happen, change is growth. But now the management part was actually a difficult part because I've been in Nigeria for 4 years now. There's change going around, but see, even when I worked in Xenox, when I worked in Xenox, yeah, there's change, but you see, how do because not everybody, human beings are all different individuals who think differently. How you get people to agree to stand on that change? Well, it's not you oppressing them to change, but you're giving them a reason, like that reason to change. There's a big reason that why you should change. See, it's the why. The why is the big term between change. So that management part is another one. How do you manage? How does a leader manage that change?
Okay, thank you. So, to manage change, you always have to you'll have done a discovery within your organization. You would have data and insights to show your staff why this change is coming. So I'll give a personal example. Say, for example, you have a process where is relied basically on emails or having to chase people manually. When you implement a process where it goes through like a platform or an e-commerce platform, you are streamlining that process, and you also have data and insights to sort of show people why this change would be beneficial for the organization, the cost saving that would happen, and how this change is going to impact on the people positively in terms of it would reduce your workload. You would not It would not necessarily transform into a job loss. And when you clear those doubts, because everyone would be resistant to change because they are scared of how this change will affect their lives, their jobs, their earnings. But once you are able to show with data that this change would not affect people's earnings, people's livelihood, and it will simplify processes, people will take that change on board. But in situations where the hard decision has to be made to maybe streamline staff, still make that very clear to people. And I've been in an organization where we had to slash wages by 50%. It was met with far cry. People were like, okay, some people I will take payoff. because I'll give the example was that you have a car, you have 5 cars, you have 5 drivers, and all of a sudden you want to sell 2 of your cars, and your drivers come up to you and say, "Oh, please don't sell the car because it's my source of livelihood." If you don't sell those cars, you will go bust. But you need to tell the drivers that I need to sell these cars. If I don't sell these cars, I won't be able to sustain for everyone. And I understand some of you might lose your job, but uh, it's better for us to have this change now to prevent this company from going bust. I'm happy to give you, say, 2, 3 months salary to start up. So you have to communicate these. They're all processes. Organizations don't just lay people off, don't just send you. You provide a means for support for those staff. So it's communicating this change to people and being honest about it. If you're going to slash salaries, you put that out there. In that process, you get people who might want to leave the business. You have people who might want to stay and say, okay, let's ensure that this company doesn't go bust. And you have people who might even get promotion because senior members might leave, and you would offer them that position at a better salary, and you get up, you are able to sort of cushion those effects. But the most important thing is to be open. Don't let not be as if we are playing around with people's emotions and source of living. So ensure that you keep everyone informed and be open. I'll always stress, always be open about a change that is coming, so people do not start spreading rumors and start having disagreements.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Engineer Solomon. Thank you so much. That was a awesome session. Let's get right in with Dr. Daniel, so we can also like a general markup at the end of his. So I'll be introducing Dr. Mark real quick. He's a project manager with PhD in international logistics and supply chain. He has an MSc in oil and gas management and degrees in accounting, marketing at Plymouth University. He holds certification in CIMA in systems dynamics and a master's of research with enterprise in agile and waterfall methodologies. Dr. Daniel has a proven track record of driving digital transformation, operational excellence, and delivering impactful business solutions. Passionate about leveraging analysis for success, he will share essential tools and techniques to unlock the power of business analysis in this webinar. So can we have you, Dr. McDaniels, speak? Hello? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
hi. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, hi, Daniel.
Hi, I'm Dr. McDaniel Uhuka, and I'm happy to be here to share my thoughts on the power of business analysis, the essential tools and techniques. I want to also commend the other speaker for taking us through change as a whole, because change is constant. And while we're talking about business analysis, we'll be looking at change, because as a business analyst, you're a change enforcer, and that's what you do. So let's get right into it. I would share this. Can you please share the slides for me? Right. So as we can see, we'll be looking at the power of business analysis, the essential tools, and the techniques of business analysis. So let's get straight into it. What is business analysis? Does anyone have an idea? Does anyone have an idea which they want to share on their basic knowledge of business analysis? Anyone? Mr. Eliribu Saturday? right then. All right. According to the IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysts. Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
Okay, when we talk about, okay, first of all, my name is Saturday. When you talk about business analysis, majorly it has to do with identifying a business need within an environment and then bringing out a solution on how to tackle such needs within that given environment. That's to my own understanding. Business analysis, analyzing the business needs within an environment and bringing out a solution to tackle that needs. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very, very, very correct. Because a business analyst is the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining the needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. So here the two key points here is needs and delivering value to stakeholders. Because as a business analyst, your main job is to identify these needs, and recommend solutions for which you can deliver value to stakeholders. For example, as my colleague said earlier, if you look at an organization trying to change the like login details for their website, you ask them, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to change? Why do you want to change these processes? Why do you want to advance into what you want to do? It's about understanding the current state which the company is at the moment and identifying steps for which they can get to the future state. So there's the current state, there's the future state, the middle bit. That's where the business analyst comes in to understand what are these processes, what are these things that we have to do to get them from where they are right now to where they are, to where they want to be, which is the future state. So what are the basic skills which you need as a business analyst? You need to be attentive, pay attention to details, because the little bit of information which you take for granted can come back and haunt this project, because every information is important. A little information can bring delay into the project. You also have to have a domain knowledge of where you're working into. What I mean by domain knowledge is every organization is different. You have the healthcare, you have the finance, you have education, you have manufacturing, construction, you have different industries. For you to go into any industry and succeed, you have to have a bit of that domain knowledge of that industry which you are going into as a business analyst for you to be able to thrive. Then again, you have your communication skills. Communication doesn't involve just speaking to people and verbally. It has to do with your body language, which we all know, your tone of voice, how you interact with people, your people skills, conflict resolution, how you work in an organization with your colleagues and things like that. These are very, very paramount as a business analyst. Also, you have to be creative. You have to be creative. You have to find new ways of doing things. That embeds in your research as a business analyst. You have to do more research. You need to understand how to bring that value, identify that need with the need, and then bring a value about a value for the organization. Next slide, please. So why is business analysis important? Does anybody know?
Business analysis is important because it's needed to drive the growth of a business. You realize where your flaws are and where your strength is. That business analysis gives the overall of the business, or where they should pick up and where they should drop down.
Yeah, that's right. So I'll give an example of a manufacturing company. Like, for example, you have your supply chain processes. So by identifying inefficiencies in the supply chain processes, such as excessive inventory, shipping delay, and things like that, a company can provide strategies for which they can use to solve these bottlenecks in their system. So basically, it's just you there in your organization. Every time watching, taking notes, paying attention to things, you know, that you can do that can help them reduce. Because in the end, you want to create value, and value comes in different forms. Value can come as a point of view reducing cost for this organization, which is one of the main paramount of businesses, is that you want to increase profit and reduce cost. So if you are reducing cost for an organization, you actually do your job properly as a business analyst, sorry. So we say, why is it important? You help in facilitating decision making. You help organizations to provide that information which they need to carry out the processes, because you're asking questions, you're sitting down there, you're asking the whys, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? That's the job of a business analyst, asking the whys. Your elicitation process involves you. Sorry, I don't know where I am right now. Okay, overview. Yeah. So the overview of business analysis, will be looking at the requirement illustration tools, which involve techniques like interviews, surveys, workshops, your SWOT analysis, your process mapping and modeling, stakeholder analysis, your data analysis tools, your root cause analysis, business model canvas, risk analysis techniques, your prototyping and wireframing, agile and scrum tools. We'll be looking at all these tools one by one as we go in depth into this. So we look at requirements for elicitation. What do you understand by elicitation? Does anybody know? The requirement elicitation. Do you know what it means by requirement elicitation? Sorry if I'm talking too fast. I stammer. Hello? Can anyone tell us what they understand by requirement elicitation?
Hello. So yeah, I believe I see elicitation as a process of gathering information, basically in an organization. So like a process of gathering the total information, requirements, insights, and everything.
Very correct. Requirement elicitation is the process of gathering and defining the needs and expectations of stakeholders for a particular project or system. It involves engaging with various stakeholders. It could be the customers, it could be the users, it could be team members, in order to identify and understand their requirements clearly. That's what the elicitation requirement is all about. And what is the goal here? The goal here is to ensure that all requirements are accurately captured and understood before moving on to the design and implementation stage, helping to avoid misunderstandings and ensuring that the final outcome meets the stakeholder needs. Because your elicitation document now helps you. You're asking the questions and you're writing it down. You're trying to understand what they want. You need to make sure that everything which they want, the stakeholders want, is adequately written properly for them to understand. Because if you are passing this information to your colleagues or to the next phase of the process, they should be able to understand what you're talking about, what they are meant to do. Because if this document, if it's not properly written, it can take us back, because we'll be going to another section which is called root cause. We can go back to that. If you're not, if the elicitation document is not done properly, we can get to a situation whereby we have to come back again and revisit to understand like what is going on. Where is this problem coming from? Are we following? Then you look at your SWOT analysis. What is SWOT analysis? Everyone knows SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, you're looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and what? And the threats of the organization. If we look at SWOT analysis, let's use an example of Apple, for example. Who can tell us what are the strengths of an organization like Apple? What are the strengths that they have in using SWOT analysis? What are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, or the threats? It could be any one of them, you know. It could be the strength, weakness, opportunities, or threats of iPhone or Apple, sorry. Can someone help me, please?
Strength, I would say availability. They're worldwide.
Yeah.
Strong market base.
Yeah, they have strong market brand reputation because everyone wants to use Apple. Yeah. Any weakness?
Sorry, I'll just no in front.
Any weaknesses for Apple? One of the main reasons why everyone uses Android phone.
Oh, I have
I
never.
feel like
The costs.
Yeah.
Samsung.
One of the
But
weaknesses is that all of their products are very expensive, you know, and most other companies such as Samsung's and other Android companies tend to provide substitute for this same what's it called, for this same product.
Features.
Yeah, for the same, you give you same features and things like that. So when an organization like Apple is looking at analyzing their SWOT, you look at, okay, this is where we are. Weakness is the price, but because you have your strength for your brand, if you're coming with me, the strength alone, which is reputable. You see companies like what's this car company, Rolls-Royce. You rarely see adverts for Rolls-Royce, yes or no? Because they have a strong brand reputation. Everybody, if you think about it, that's where you want to go. You look for the strengths in your organization. You key on your strengths because your strengths are your main goals. So these are the places where organizations work on more to keep their part in the market. Then the threats from Apple, where would it come from? It will come from various other companies such as Samsung, you know, because Samsung as well is emerging in the market, providing products that more or less matches whatever Apple is doing. I'm an Apple person anyway, but I know Samsung offers more products as well. Then what is we move on the next slide is process mapping. Anyone understand what process mapping is? From the name, it's straightforward. Mr. Frank? Hello, Mr. Frank? I like everyone to be engaging so we know we're together. If you have any questions while I'm talking, you can ask me straight away, please.
So I'll go. Process mapping is say how you identify what you need to do for an organization. Say how do you move from point A to point B. For example, in everything you do in life, there's a process. So if I ask you to more or less tell me the process for making a cup of tea, you can more or less draw that in a process. Say, for example, get the cup, move next, boil the water, next add coffee. Do I need sugar? Do I need honey? So you have those decision points. That's what a process map actually is. So we can relate it to every aspect of our lives. You can process map anything you need to do. How do I get out of bed in the morning? Do I say a prayer or should I scroll through TikTok first? These are all processes that you can put in your mind. So if you're basically, that's what process map is. How to analyze how you do stuff within a business, within an organization, or within your own personal life.
Yeah, because the goal is to provide a clear picture of how tasks are performed and how they relate to one another. Are we clear? Let's move to stakeholder analysis. Does anybody want to share their thoughts on stakeholder analysis? Okay, stakeholder analysis. This is a process used in business analysis to identify and evaluate interest and influence of various stakeholders in a project. It helps to ensure that needs and expectations are considered throughout the project lifecycle. So what do we do during stakeholder analysis? The first step is you have to identify who your stakeholders are. You need to know who you're dealing with. You know, for example, in the software development stage, your stakeholders could be your end users, it could be the project managers, it could be developers, it could be clients. You need to identify each stakeholders to understand their importance. And once you've identified them, the next step is to assess stakeholders' influence and interest. You know, once you've known your various stakeholders, then now you have to assess which of them have more influence, because during the process, some stakeholders you communicate with them more, while some you don't communicate with them. So you have to prioritize which stakeholders you have to go back to all the time, and the ones that you just give information once a while. Because stakeholders tend to you have the high power ones, you have the lower ones, you have the managers, you have end users. It depends on your once you identify each stakeholders and what they bring into the process. Also, you then to develop um, strategies which you have to engage your stakeholders. For example, a company launching a new product may hold various end users to gather feedback while providing regular update to their investors through reports. So you get people here, you talk to them. After doing everything, then you now write a report and send it back to the investors to say this is what has gone on in the process. Then we look at data analysis. What is data analysis? Data analysis. Sorry, hello. I'm sorry for that. Sorry, can anyone share their thoughts on data analysis before I go into it? Just a random or understanding of what you know about data analysis.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mosby Hart, and I just wanted to add a little contribution on stakeholder analysis. For your stakeholders, you have different kind of stakeholders when you're having a project or when you're considering a process. So you might have the government as your stakeholders, you might have the community as your stakeholders. So you might divide them into internal and external stakeholders. Also, these stakeholders have different behavior. You have to consider your communication pattern. They have their different educational exposure. So the way you communicate with the ones, for example, in the community is very important. The way you communicate with the government also has its own process. So your communication pattern to your stakeholders is very pivotal, because there can be a breakdown in the structure or the system when there's bad communication.
It's not followed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so that's just one area I just wanted to contribute on stakeholders management. Because if you don't manage your stakeholders well, your project is dead on arrival, because you need your stakeholders' involvement, engagement, participation in your processes. Yes, so that's for that. Then data analysis. Data is raw facts. If you look at the definition of data, so data is raw facts. You have data, you have information, you have knowledge, you have wisdom. So data in the 21st century is the data can be used to make informed decisions. Okay, so when you're analyzing data, let's take an example of a histogram. You're looking at you could use a histogram to be able to digitally or using diagrams to
representation, diagram representation,
or represent whatever information you're trying to disseminate or whatever knowledge you're trying to elicit to whoever. So data has, of course, it's raw in nature, but you can process data to become information, something meaningful, which can also help in also managing your risk, managing your results, looking at forecasting, looking at different areas of your process or your business.
Yep.
So
So following up from what you said, other key advantages of data analysis involve informed decision making, like he said. So like providing evidence-based insights, allowing business to make informed decisions rather than relying on guesswork, for example, to say, oh, this was wrong. But with data analysis, you can understand You can understand you can have a proper insight. Also, you can identify the trends and patterns. You can uncover what is making the market dynamics, operational performance behave in a certain way by identifying the trends, by analyzing data. You know, you can also improve efficiency. You know, data analysis can identify inefficiencies in processes, enables businesses to streamline operations, you know, reduce cost and enhance productivity. Also, it gives organization like a customer insight. They can get deeper understanding of what the customer preferences are, what they need, allowing to target more strategies and improve customer satisfaction. We can go to root cause. I'm sorry if I'm rushing because of the time. Root cause. What's root cause? The name alone says it all, root cause. It's a method used to identify the underlying reasons for a problem or issue within an organization. So the goal here of RCA is to address the root cause rather than the symptoms of a situation. So leading to more effective and sustainable solutions. So here again, you want to understand what is the major issue here? What's causing this? What's causing this problem? Why are we back here again after 2 weeks? Depend on your time in which it takes to complete a process. Why are we back here again? What is the process that is making us come back? So with root cause, you're going back to the beginning of everything to find out what is it. So now, how do you do that? You first of all, you define the problem here. You articulate what the issue is and the impact it has on the organization. Then the next step is to collect data. So you have to gather information related to the problem, such as matrices, reports, feedback from stakeholders. Then after collecting all this data, we then have to identify possible causes for this. Why is this happening over and over? That's when you tend to brainstorm with a lot of people. You sit down with colleagues and find out why. You ask yourself the 5 whys. What is the 5 whys? The 5 whys is used to answer questions. Like it says, if you ask the same question 5 times, you should be able to come with the problem. So why didn't you, for example, I ask you, why didn't you go to work today? You say, oh, I didn't feel like. Why didn't you feel like going to work? Oh, because I'm sad. Why are you sad? Oh, I don't have money. If I give you money now, will you go to work? Yes. The issue here is you don't have what you need to go. That's the problem here. For example, for that example I've given you, if you ask a question 5 times, you should be able to get the problem of whatever is causing it. And once you've asked this question, you should be able to now analyze and evaluate this cause and say, okay, this is what the problem is. Let us try and implement solutions to match the problem and how we are solving it. And then we sit back and monitor the results over a period of time to see if the adjustment is necessary or if we need to follow on with whatever we have done. Sorry, Senor, can you share my slides, please? Yeah, so we are now at the business model canvas. Anyone else wants to share their thoughts on the business model canvas, what it is or what they understand by it? I need someone that's not spoken before. Let's just share our thoughts here. Gloria.
I don't know if I can make a bit of contribution.
Okay, go on.
So your business model canvas is a summary of let's say your vision or your mission, for example. Let's break it down that simple. So your mission will help you examine or elicit to customers on methodologies on how you wish to attain your vision, and that will help people understand what you're selling better and also have some faith in your business, your value proposition, what you have to offer. Look at Dangote's vision. They want to make sure they sell everything people need. So by that kind of big vision, people will want to read into your vision and try to understand what methodologies and where you're taking them to and what value your value proposition is. And in that way, people are able to buy into what you're selling.
Yep. So if we look at business model canvas, it's just a strategic management tool that provides a visual framework for developing, describing, and analyzing business models. It consists of 9 blocks, which involves the customer segments, value proposition, channels, customer relationship, revenue streams, key resources, key activities, key partnership, and cost structure. We can go into all this. We can't go into in deep depth, but I'll just quickly summarize the 9 points. So the first one, which is the customer segment. What do you understand by customer segment? Like, it identifies the group of people or organization a business aims to reach and serve. You know, like which particular customer am I focusing on? Just put them into different segments and focus on that. Then the value proposition. This describes the unique. It describes the unique value of a business offers to its customers. Like, it answers the questions of why customers should choose a particular product over another, if you are following. Also, the channels. What channels do they use? How does a company deliver value proposition to its customer? It includes, is it through adequate communication, distribution, and different sales channel? You know. Also, you look at the customer relationship. This defines business established. It can range from personal assistance to self-service, automated service. Just how did you help? How do you help your your customers? Also, your revenue streams. This identifies income which the company will make. It includes various revenue models such as sales, subscriptions, licensing. Your key resources outline the most important assets required to make a business model work. The key partnership involves the partners that can include strategic alliance, joint ventures, buyers, and the likes. Sorry, I'm just rushing through. Cost structure. What do you understand by cost structure, which is very important? Can someone just tap on this, the last one, which is the cost structure, which is very important?
Do you mean organization?
Pardon? Now,
Do
I'm
you
talking
mean what?
about the. Can you hear me? Yeah, because we're looking at the 9 building blocks of the business model canvas, and we're the last one, which is the 9th one, which is cost structure. So I'm just asking if anyone has any. I'm just asking if anyone has any.
Does it have to do with the organizational structure or a project structure? What is
So we're looking at the business model canvas, for example. Now that's what we're looking at, and under the business model canvas, we have 9 building blocks, which is the customer segment, the value proposition, the channels, customer relationships, revenue streams, your key resources, key activities, key partners, and your cost structure. So someone has asked a question here. How do you define the costing of your product or service? Anyone wants to say anything on that? Solomon?
Well, costing goes right back to demand and supply.
Yep.
Let's go back to like economics.
Mm-hmm.
So to some of the costing of a product, first you have to find out the need on the product. Now, your target, as in who are you selling the product to? Cash, the people that can afford the product, what can they spend? You talk about the income ratios of individuals or what you're selling to. So before you put a costing, you define the costing, you have to look at the outside exterior of those who are patronizing the products, the service, those who that need this product and service. That's how you define that's how you define the costing. But you gotta look at them first. Because they define the cost of your product, not you. Because you cannot, if you get a high price and they cannot afford it, you'll go your loss. If you get a low price, they might feel like it's not a certified product.
Yeah. So basically, it's just like a blog that outlines like the cost incurred in operating a business model. It involves the fixed, the variable cost, and the key resources, activities, partnership, everything that has to do with cost in the business. Risk analysis.
Can I
What
speak
is
on
risk analysis? Pardon?
core structure?
Okay, go on.
It's the framework, on the foundational components that forms the basis of a company or an
Yes.
organization.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I'll say what the organization lives by. What they stand by, the core, what started the organization, what they started their business with. Some like I say, for the culture of individual, as me, I say diligence, I'm polite, I'm a team player. That is my structure.
Yep. So it comes in. Sorry, please. My slides have gone. Let me see if I can share these slides myself. Isn't it?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, please, can you share the slide? I think Solomon is gone.
Okay.
Yes. Risk analysis. Again, can anyone share an insight on risk analysis? Mrs. Chinyere Usang. I think she's typing a question there. She could just come up and say something. Or anyone else wants to say something on risk analysis? What do you understand by risk analysis? Because this is very important.
This must be hard again. So risk analysis basically is the identification of risk. So risk is concomitant to life. Risk is attached to life and projects. So risk analysis is your ability to, identify the nature of the risk, then being able to assess the risk. If it's a risk you can own, you can now take, your decision. If it's a risk you can transfer, you now take a decision to experts who can, mitigate that risk. Then, of course, risk comes with a price. If you're looking at the risk management matrix, you have the severity of a risk and you have the frequency of the risk, which can be risk occurrences. So
you have to prioritize your risk.
You have to prioritize your risk, look at the severity against the frequency of the risk. If the frequency is high and the severity is low, you might decide to take the risk. You might look for your premium or your price you pay to be able to absorb that risk. If the severity is high and the frequency is low, you don't go there. It's a bad risk. It is catastrophic. So you avoid that risk. But if your severity is low and your frequency is low, you can take the risk.
Yep.
But you have to look at taking calculated risk so that your perils can be low. The effect of the risk, wherever you're taking, can be manageable. So that is why people go into risk analysis before going into any decision
Yeah.
making. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's just basically the process of identifying and evaluating potential risks that could negatively impact on an organization or a project. So like the guy has just said, it involves identifying risk. You have to analyze the risks as well as prioritize this risk. You have to develop risk response strategies. How am I going to mitigate, transfer, or avoid these risks? This may involve creating contingency plans or probably implementing preventive measures. You can also implement risk management plans. You put like strategies in place whereby you assign responsibilities to team members and ensure that everyone understands their role in managing risk. Also, we have to monitor and review. So you have to continuously monitor the risk and the effectiveness of the response strategies. Regularly review and update to know that, okay, yes, necessary, especially when there are changes in the project or external environment. I'm sorry for that. The next one is prototyping and wireframe. The slides keep going away. Okay. Prototyping and wireframing. These are essential techniques in the business analysis and product development process. These tools help teams visualize and refine a solution design early, ensuring that all stakeholders are aligned and potential issues are addressed before development begins. Who can understand what prototyping and wireframing is? If you separate them from one another, prototype, wireframe. What is prototype? Prototype, basically from the name, is you trying to get something to look like something. You make it first before. Does anyone have something to say?
A prototype can be a simulation, for example, a digitalized form of bringing something real into a test form before going into the real exposure. So, for example, you can do a simulation to get a prototype of a process, productivity, performance, risk exposure, and on. Thank you.
Yeah. And what about wireframing?
So let me just talk on wireframing. Sorry, I had to leave the office. Everyone was getting upset. I'm still there. Okay, so for wireframing, just look at it as this way. For example, you want to implement an application. So you have technical stakeholders, you have non-technical stakeholders. So how do you get your non-technical stakeholders on board? Most people like to see pictures. So you can create a demo. So you do like a show and tell where you create something similar as a look and feel for these non-tech stakeholders, more or less have a feel of what you need to implement, what you need to develop. And by showing that to your stakeholders, you can get feedback on what needs to change or what you need to more or less implement. So it's a very, very good tool if you know how there are various softwares available for you to more or less do a prototype or a wireframe diagram. You show them, like, it doesn't have to be neat and clean, just a feel of what you need to implement, and you can use that also to get comments on what you need to implement, what you need to change. And that's why I feel wireframe is very, very important. It's a very, very good tool to have in your locker as a business analyst.
Okay. And the various benefits of prototyping, like my colleague has said, it involves improved communication. You get feedback. It's cost effective. Enhanced collaboration, because there's a collaboration among team members, ensure that everyone is aligned on the project and goals and the user needs. Also, the requirements are clarified. The requirements. Creating these visual tools helps clarify the project's requirements and expectation, reducing misunderstanding and scope creep. So the scope, if you know what scope creep is you going outside your scope of what you're supposed to do. With wireframing, you're within your scope. There's no chance for you to go outside that scope, because then you've already streamlined everything which you're supposed to do. Also, basically, in summary, it's just saying that prototyping and wireframing are valuable practices in business analysis that enhance communication, gather insights for users, and also lead to better designed products. So prototype, wireframe, it gives you like a preview of what you want to do. These are all important in carrying out a good what's it called, a business analysis product. We look at the next one is Agile and Scrum. As my colleague has said, Agile is change. Agile is your ability to change with whatever is going on, quick, and that's Agile. Scrum, on the other hand, who knows what Scrum is? Hello? Does anyone know what Scrum is?
So
Hello?
Scrum is you look at it as an agile methodology where you are going to implement various processes, various call them ceremonies, to ensure that you keep to your agile practices. So if you want to talk about Scrum, you have what we call the Scrum Guide, where you can find out what ceremony, what tools you need to have in your locker. Because for Scrum, it preaches effective collaboration, daily stand-up, refinement session, backlog grooming. You have your, like I mentioned, refinement process. You have your retrospective, where you are able to look back at the process and say, what did we do wrong? How can we improve? And what needs to change? So these are all just the agile methods. So there's Scrum, there's Kanban. You have people who do a hybrid of both. You have also XP. So these are all the agile methods that you can implement in your organization to more or less manage change and also implement various technologies or softwares.
So the benefits of Agile and Scrum. Thank you for your contribution. It involves transparency, that is providing a clear overview of the team progress and individual contribution. Improve collaboration, as you said, allows teams to work seamlessly across different locations and time zones. Efficiency, automated repetitive tasks like sending reminders or updating task statuses. Flexibility, to adapt workflows to change in priorities and timelines. So Agile can make you, like I said, you think like you need to do something now and to adapt, you can adapt it quickly into your work. That's Agile. Whereas there's another one called Waterfall, but we're not going into Waterfall and Agile today. It's just we're looking at Agile. Waterfall, on the other hand, means that you have to carry out processes one by one. You cannot just the same way you do it with Agile. Okay, can we move to the next one, please? Cost benefit. Someone already spoke about cost benefit earlier today. Anyone want to share their insight on the benefits of cost benefit analysis? Who has not spoken today? Someone else needs to just say something. Just let's hear your voice. Let's call on Cynthia. Cynthia.
Hello.
Yeah, hi Cynthia.
Hi.
Yeah, we've been talking on business analysis, the essential tools and techniques, and we've covered a few topics. Right now, we are looking at the cost-benefit analysis. Can you
Yes,
share
I just
your
joined late, so I'm
okay.
still trying to get the gist of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. So cost-benefit analysis, known as CBA, is a systematic approach used to evaluate the financial implications of a project or decisions by comparing its cost with the expected benefits. So how do you do that? You have to identify your cost. When you identify your cost, it means that you list all the costs associated with this project. It could be the direct costs like material and labor, indirect costs such as overheads, and then potential opportunity cost. After identifying the cost, the next step would be to identify the benefits. You outline the expected benefits of the project. This can increase the if you outline the benefits, this can increase revenue, reduce cost, improve efficiency, or intangible benefits like customer satisfaction. Also, after identifying the benefits, we move to quantity and we tend to quantify the costs and the benefits. So you assign like a monetary value to each cost and benefit. This may involve estimating future cash flows and considering the time value of money through discounting. Also, making a decision, sensitivity analysis, and once you use sensitivity analysis, you have to change the assumptions. So if you're running like a processes, for example, for I did a process for NNPC trying to reduce lead time in the supply chain processes. So in order to do this, you have to understand the various, you have to understand you have to do a test. What we call it is using system dynamics. We did a test called sensitivity analysis testing, then to test which part of the model tends to affect more and show more impact on cost for the organization. So with sensitivity analysis, it helps you to understand at what point is this sensitive or the sensitivity level of which you're trying to achieve. Any questions so far? Any questions? And the last one is to make a recommendation. So what's the future of business analysis? As my colleague has said earlier, it's agile. We are moving into an agile world where everything is changed right now, quick. You need to be able to adapt to different changes. Like I said earlier, as a business analyst, you have to be creative. You have to be a deep thinker. You have to be able to do research. You must love research for you to be able to find out these needs, which organizations need, that in turn will bring value to them. These are the key parts of a business analyst, which as an individual, we need to know what we're doing. You have to be creative, like we said earlier. So what is the future of business analysis? It's rapid transformation driven by technological advancement, changes in business priorities, and increasing importance of data in decision making. So that's how it is. Artificial intelligence has taken over. There are different routine tasks tools such as Tableau, Power BI, Google Analytics that helps you in visualizing the complexness of a data as well. Then you have, like he said earlier, remote and global collaboration. You have people now working from home. That here I work 2 days at work and 3 days at home. So these are the things that which we look for to try to understand the future of how the work is going and how people are adapting to these changes with the AI as well and all this. So I believe as a business analyst, you should be able to go with this change and adapt to put yourself in a competitive place where you can compete and provide value to various organizations which you'll be working in. And also don't forget, you must always have a domain knowledge of where you're working. So like I said, if you're going to be working in education, construction, healthcare, as a business analyst, you should be able to understand that domain properly for you to be able to provide value into the organization. Last slide, please. Okay, that's the end. All right, then. Do we have any more questions? Let's go straight into it.
Good evening.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Please, I wanted to ask, can you share an example of a challenging business analysis project and how you overcame your challenges?
Okay. You said how?
If you can share an example of a challenging business analysis project and how you
Okay.
overcame your challenges.
Okay. Yeah, there are various if there are various issues that are common when you're working with different individuals as a business analyst. So I'll give you one of a personal one which I encountered. So it involves in trying to meet up with a requirement which we had, and we had to meet up, and it was going through this stakeholder who, like my colleague has said, talking about change. People tend to be stuck in the past, not willing to adapt and change to new ways. So this man has been receiving all the emails which the team has been sending to him, but he did not understand what's going on. He's the kind of person who likes to talk, likes you to sit down with him and show him what you're talking about and what you want to achieve. So we have to find a way to make sure that, okay, this man is not here for long emails. You find time you to get your job, to meet your deliverable, each deliverable, each requirement that you want to achieve, everything. You have a milestone, you have a target which you have to meet. So you have to find ways in which you can get your stakeholders to play ball. So after finding out this man, he's not very good with emails. Like he takes long to reply his email. So find time to find him when he's having his coffee, lunch, and then sit down to him and say, "Oh, you sent him I sent you an email earlier 2 days ago, blah blah blah. Oh, I didn't get the email." And then you check he didn't get it because there's processes which you cannot. The email went straight to his junk, and then we started from there. We spoke about the process, and then we now made it a thing where I will meet him. Whenever I meet him in his during his free time, we'll talk about the stuff. It became a thing whereby now I don't have to send him any email anymore. I just go with him. I just go to him, we discuss. That's how about understanding your stakeholders, understanding how to communicate with each stakeholders, because each of them, they are different. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Any other question?
Okay, my question is, how can a business analyst identify potential risks associated with change initiative? And what are the strategies that can be used to reduce risk?
Okay, so we'll take your questions one by one. So come with the first one again.
I said, how can a business analyst identify potential risks associated with change initiative?
Okay, so how do you identify risk? First of all, like I said, you have to, as a business analyst, you have to, what do? You have to do research. You have to do research. You have to understand the needs of the organization. You have to understand the processes of where they are for you to be able to move forward. So if you've understood the risk involved, that's your question, right? What's the risk?
Okay.
Sorry, come again.
Identify potential risks.
Yeah, so like I said, to identify risks, you begin by you brainstorm, you list all the potential risks that could affect the project or the organization. Like it could be financial, it could be operational, strategic, compliance, and even reputational risks. So you have to first of all like brainstorm and then list all these risks that you think that would affect the project. And then once you've done that, then you start to analyze them one by one to find out the likelihood of the impact of this risk. And you can do this qualitatively or quantitative if you like. And what's your second question?
I said, what are the strategies that can be used to reduce risk?
So that's what I'm telling you now. Like if you identify the risk, right? Once you've identified your risk, you analyze this risk, then you prioritize your risk. Like you rank them based on the severity and the likelihood of it occurring again. This helps you like to focus your attention on the most critical risk that you need to be managed. After you've prioritized your risk, then you have to hello? Okay, after prioritizing your risks, then you have to like develop risk response strategies. Are you with me?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you have
let
to
me 1 second. So, sorry, can I proceed?
Okay, go on.
Okay, so what I've seen in my own experience is that usually when you want to start a project, let me just go back to the initial stage. So we would have what we call like a RAID log. So what's RAID? This is risks, assumptions, and dependencies. So issues and dependencies. So what we do, for example, you can look at the previous project. What are the risks that have occurred in this sort of project? Is it based on money? Is it based on the scope creeping? Is it based on time? So you are able to look at, by brainstorming, you're able to list all these risks in your RAID log, and you're able to say, okay, now how do we attack this risk? How do we mitigate against this risk? Because anything can be a risk. You can if you're given a project, you can list, okay, say for example, lack of resources. This can be money, this can be staff, this can be time. So time can also be a risk. So how do you mitigate against all these risks? Having a project, you can list out 1,000 risks, and when you now brainstorm with your team members, you're able to say, okay, this doesn't pose a threat. This doesn't pose a threat to the project, and you can now build up from. You're able to now put them in a document, prioritize them, and see how you can mitigate against this risk. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Any more questions?
So my question is, a troubleshooting process in a business. What is your first step?
I didn't hear what you said.
A troubleshooting process in a business, like trying to find a solution for a risk, something that's happened. What is the first step you take? Troubleshooting. Yes, there. Like find a solution, trying to find a solution for a problem in the business. What is your initial step? Your first step you take, the first step.
Okay.
Okay. Let me pick that up. Sorry. What happens really when there's a problem? Say, for example.
So you have to define the problem.
Yes. Thank you. So you start by defining your process. So this is what we call a discovery stage. So we spend time to understand what happened, what the impact is. Then you now go through series of you can decide to take this to a workshop where you call in the key stakeholders for that process to more or less brainstorm on what has happened, how did it happen, what are the effects of what has happened. Then from there, you're able to document this process and start thinking about what your solution is. So in business analysis, this is what we call like a gap analysis, where you currently find what the current process is, why did that process fail. Then you now think about a to-be process. This is where you are finding out how do I now improve on this process. So it's understanding what the current state is and what happened.
Also determine how to get from your current state to your future state. That middle bit.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Isn't
So I know before the seminar, I received some questions. These are people asking like, how do you transition into a business analyst? So I know most people are curious to find out how they can transition into business analysis. So in this case, I mean, there are various ways you can transition. And if we go through this, you find out that in your current job or in something you have actually done previously, you can find out that you have applied business analysis techniques. So, for example, something basic as how do you withdraw money from an ATM? You find out that as an analyst, you will have to define what processes needs to be involved, what error messages needs to come from that POS machine. When you put in your card, if you put in a wrong pin, what do you want the response to be? This sort of thing will put you in a state where you understand that business analysis is just a way of solving problems. So if you've ever solved a problem, you have actually done part of business analysis. So if you want to transition into a business analyst, there are various ways we can, the consulting can run workshops for you and guide you step by step on how to become an analyst. And also, you can still reach out to any of us on this call, and we can always offer you coaching and mentorship on how to transition from any. We have people who have been trained from nurses, doctors, or even any occupation have been able to transition and thrive as business analysts. So if you are also interested, you can reach out to the consultancy, or you can reach out to myself or my colleague. And also, I'm always very happy if you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. We can start having conversations from there and see how we can more or less help you to transition.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Daniels. Thank you for that session. It was refreshing. It was awesome. I think everyone here, I like the fact that it was very engaging. Everyone contributed in their own little way, and you also passed across knowledge on business analysis as well. And Engineer Solomon, thank you for your session as well. It was very unique, and you were able to also, give us proper insight on change management opportunities and so on and so forth. So we're going to have this webinar, the recorded session, on our YouTube channel for anyone that wants to go through it, like you want to go through, you didn't join from the beginning and you want to go through the full session. It's going to be on our YouTube channel, and we're going to be having another session next month in January. It was an engaging one. Thanks to everyone for their participation as well. So don't forget, we have opportunities for you to learn these courses either by video, learning at your own pace, or having a virtual one-on-one session, or having an in-person class. Also, we have really, really good facilitators that would guide you through, and you also get your British-accredited certification at the end of every course or every session with us. So thank you very much. If there are any questions, you can also reach out to us on our social media handle on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the rest of them. Would love you to be a part of our webinar next month as well. And we'll have an interesting topic as usual to share, and really good, insightful facilitators as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. And that'll be all for now. Bye.